Hi, it's story time. Thanks for joining me. As you can see, it's a bit damp and a bit murky, but I thought it gives an idea of the atmosphere of the story I'm going to tell you. If you can imagine, this is a golf course. It's by a wood, and I was out here one night at full moon. It wasn't just full moon, there was a foot of snow on the ground as well. So where you see these trees here with the buttress where it curves down there, well, of course the snow came up to here, and all you could see with these stems sticking out straight without the buttress. There's a good example here. And it was a lovely night. I came out, and because the moon was full and up high, it was making all the snow sparkle like glitter and diamonds and jewels, and it was really magical. And being the middle of the night, there was no one else here either. I was on my own, which made it even more magical because there was only me here. I did want to be sharing it with other people, but it just wasn't to be. Check for panthers. I'm actually serious, as you will hear. Anyway, like I said, I used to live in these woods here, and I was out and you couldn't see any of this golf stuff. It was just snow, and I'm the sort of person that has this fear of, like when I cross shallow streams or anywhere where I can't see what's below me, I have this fear of the ground opening up and taking me. Now that must come from somewhere, as my daughter has it as well, especially when she's swimming. And we know that this sort of thing can happen. So I saw this bit, and this looked particularly good because it was away from the wood and was kind of in the middle of nowhere, you know, so I could get as far away from anybody, and indeed the woods, seeing as this was middle of the night. When I say middle of the night, 2 AM, something like that. Because believe it or not, even though this is England, I used to get stranded quite often here. Stranded from the ice and not being able to get up the hill. And while everywhere around me would be free of snow and thawed out, weeks after, I would still be stuck. There's a cherry tree there, which is great. So I was out here and I went to the end there. You can't see it now, but there is a path, a footpath that goes round, and when you get out, there are dogs. So that's okay. Dog prints have got claws. Anyway, so here was lovely because all I had was all the world were these stems rising out of the snow that looked like otherworldly. Now, as I was saying, I came down to the end where you get, once you get to the top of the wood where the wood ends, what you then have, I mean, this was great, you know, can you imagine all of this being the ground being white but a foot higher and the moon shining, so you have shadows and glistenings. It actually was one of the nights of my life. It really was special. So yeah, so maybe instead of my waffle, I can show you the view when I got to the gate at the end. The view was basically this hill swept away, and there was the moonlight and the orange glow of the city, and town. Here's another. Here's another hideout, but I can't feel it, so it's frothy now. Yeah, it all swept away and it was just awesome. Really was awesome. It was like a cliche. You know, when you imagine you look over a hill and everything sweeps away in the moonlight and there's just you. Oh, just took my breath away, you know. So, and I felt great, and I thought, wow, let's carry on. Let's carry on. And I started to go follow down the footpath. And then I kind of started to think, oh, this is a bit tiring, because actually it was probably more, well, it came up to about the top of my wellies, so we're talking, you know, 15-16 inches. You know, in some places it was a foot. So I was walking and and I was thinking, oh my god, this is so tiring. I might not be able to make it, because I had to come back uphill, you know. So I turned and I started coming back uphill. And I remember going and sitting in that hut. But I don't know if you're like me, and because I couldn't see behind me, it always felt a little bit unprotected, so I prefer being out where I can see. It's probably some kind of primal instinct, isn't it, to be able to see around you as opposed to being in the hut and the protection. I don't know. Okay, here we have the gate, which I'm going to do the mud avoidance path. Now this all swept away. As you can see, there's nothing there at the moment. They built a little seat and it sweeps away in a classic English countryside and then sweeps up again, but you have a view. And then the moon was over there and this was all orange and unworldly, otherworldly, unworldly. Furs or gorse. You can use the flowers in tea. You can eat them fresh. They taste a bit like apple, but the tea's lovely. Hard to describe something that doesn't have an equal. So I was walking along I think I was a bit further along. But you know how snow just takes all your senses away, of direction and distance away. And I heard a noise in there. Now, bearing in mind this is the middle of the night, this noise sounded quite heavy. It certainly sounded like something landing on snow. But it didn't sound like it was a heavy branch laden with snow falling. And my instincts just started going, get out of here. Or if I can quote her, if I can quote the comic strip, get out the back and run like bloody fuck. So, I don't know if you've ever tried to walk really fast in a foot of snow. It's just not possible. You use up far more energy. So, I just thought, right, well, just walk quickly. But what was frightening was that the sound was nearer where I had to go. It was quite near where my caravan was. So I was, all right, okay, well, maybe once I get close to it, you know, it'll be fine, was what I thought. So anyway, I managed to get back and get inside and shut the door and breathed a sigh of relief. Now, you know, your head goes, well, was I imagining stuff? You know, it was, but I knew it wasn't just snow falling. I know the sound of snow falling. And I knew this was something big landing in the snow. Anyway, so I managed to get to sleep. And I woke up in the morning and I went outside. And I saw these tracks, big tracks, yeah, tracks as big as my fist, with no claws. And there, lying in the middle of the car park, was a massive turd. Massive. So, being me, I had a closer inspection, and it was full of hair that could easily have been dog, deer, fox, something like that. It certainly was something that ate other animals. So I followed these tracks and realised that they came literally right next to where my bed was and where I was sleeping. You know, had there been no walls, I could have reached out and touched it. And I followed it up the hill. It went to the back of the house whose land I was on, and then up and over the golf course where we started this video. Now, this is another house where I've lived, or another place where I've been sleeping, where a panther has turned up, and I'm pretty sure it was a panther because that is what's seen around here. There are tales of puma being seen, and you know, it doesn't fit all the rest. So I started thinking it's the same one that I've seen in all the other places, stories to follow. You'll have seen the Savanac one. You know, I have literally seen it off. You know, I've been within meters of it, a couple of meters, because I thought it was a spirit animal. I didn't believe it was a panther. But that's another story that's coming, or has come. So So that one may have been already done. So check that one out. I'm trying to do them in order actually, so ignore that. It's probably going to be already up. So thanks for watching. See you next time. Ta-da.